The short answer is that the bill's pending in the Senate. It's going to be coming up in the Senate within
Well,
the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, I carried on, and Dodd and Shelby have been trying to get bipartisan support. I had an agreement with Shelby. He went with us to Europe in August and September, and we met with the EU and the UK. And our biggest problem on regulatory reform, a lot of people don't pay attention to it, was we cannot institute that unless we have Europe and the UK do substantially the same thing, or we put ourselves in a negative comparison position with Europe. In other words, our financial firms will go to London. And that was the fight we had 2-3 years ago, and we don't want to go back into that problem. So what I want is a concession from guys like Lord Turner and the various regulators in Europe, that they wanted to have us buy in to write the legislation, set the standard, and they will copy the standard, not be inconsistent with it, and therefore we will create really the world standard, because between Europe, the UK, and the United States, we are responsible for about 80% of the securities and bonds that are traded in the world. And if we set the standard, Japan, India, and China will have to set the same standard, or they won't be able to compete. And as a result, we'll set the standard for the world. But it has to be done for the world. In a global market, one single country can't do it. And we have that agreement. As a matter of fact, a lot of things have come out of that and this coordinated thing. When we met with the Committee on Economics of the European Union, they asked to participate. And this next month or so, we're setting up the first transatlantic committee meeting between the Congress of the United States and the European Union, that we're going to have witnesses, we're going to have discussions between the American Congress and the European Union. It's never happened before. But we have to go global because we're in a global economy. Now, most Americans, particularly northeastern Pennsylvania, they really don't recognize that that's a problem. And probably I find is difficult. I should educate them to that. I just don't really have the time to do that if I have to scurry around and do every little other thing that has to be done, and there are a lot of things. So it's somewhat difficult, but that's my job, and that's what I try to do. That's why I came up here. You know, we had a lot of sessions these last 2 weeks on Medicare, on medical health care bill. You know, we've had it on jobs and the economy, and that's why I look forward to this session. You know, I could have very easily told you guys to hell with it, you know. But quite frankly, this is an opportunity for me to explain some of the problems that we have and why we have those problems and what we're thinking of doing about it. And then it's really amazing, quite frankly. I get some of my best input from average people. We don't give the average citizen nearly enough credit. They really think about these things. They have good ideas. What we have to do is make sure we're getting a lot of those ideas. Even now and then I've found that sometimes I get a good idea from a reporter or a member of the press.
To get back to the question about the timeline for regulatory reform.
Yeah. We discussed that at the White House when I met with the president. We would like to get it done. I used the term a little earlier. We're almost in the silly season. We can never be certain when that's going to start, but sure as God made green little apples, nothing will get done. And that happens during the political season. I think it's going to be probably July. Anything that doesn't get done by July, it's going to be toast.
So the Senate will vote on the...
Yeah, so the Senate, we anticipate the rest of April, they will finish their bill. They will amend it on the floor. Most of it's done, quite frankly. Dodd and Shelby have to agree on a couple of issues that they're still in contest. If they do that, and Barney and I discussed, we intend to have a conference with the Senate, and we want to have it as an open conference. It'll be the first in history. Put it on C-SPAN, go through every element of the bill. It's a 1,600-page bill. It's a very complicated bill. It reminds me of health care. But
add another 1,000 to it.
And we'll hit health care. But it's the only opportunity the American people are ever going to know. Not that all of them want to know about derivatives and everything, but I think they do want the assurance that we aren't allowing this to go by and dissipate, and that something is going to be done to shore up the system. And I think they're going to be rather pleased. That's where I come in with the book writers. I'm gonna be on with them in a week or so. I'm gonna give them hell because they make our work very difficult when they misstate what's in the law. All they have to do is read the law, and they're all very bright guys. They should understand it. You know, they're MIT, Harvard, they're, you know, the best of minds. I don't think they're paying attention to it. Or, worse than that, they're trying to hype their damn book. They're trying to misstate it so they create an excitement out there that doesn't really exist. The reality is that on the House side, we have created a bill, if adopted into law, would stop the need for ever having another bailout, would stop systemic risk in the future, and we would create a much more sophisticated mechanism through resolution authority to take very large financial organizations out without disturbing the rest of the economy. That's in the bill. That will work. It's a simple process. The Senate has probably 90% of that. Dodd took all of my amendment, put it in his bill, took Volker's amendment. We will, in the House, take Volker's amendment. So all those things will be there. We can get it done, and quite frankly, now, we have, you know, kiddie arguments. Should it be a separate agency? Should it be under Treasury? Should it be in the federal? I don't really care.